I think the look of that new splitter is absolutely gorgeous. Look at the rear lights, they're gorgeous. This cutout section looks gorgeous. And look at that, looks bloody gorgeous. On the right hand side, get into your own lane. Thank you, Mr. Bike Up. Welcome back, YouTube. Right, can a £25,000 Tesla Model 3 Performance in the UK. It says 7C, it's on a 21 plate. You can tell that because it's got the new Uber turbine wheels on it, well, for the time, and it's got the black surrounds, and of course inside it's got the heat pump, versus a £60,000 brand new Highland. This is the 2024, this is my one, and after my mate who owns this one came out for a test drive with me in the £60,000 one, about 2 weeks later he ended up with one. So this one, of course, was bought from the Tesla Infantry, so even though it's run out of original warranty, which is 60,000 miles and 4 years in the UK, you do get a 12-month warranty to cover, a kind of bulletproof warranty with Tesla to deal with stuff. And there is one or two little things going on with it at the moment, which we might explore later on, versus the £60,000 brand new one, which is obviously still under its original warranty. This older one is now on about 40-odd thousand miles. And my one, if you've watched the recent videos, it's now hit 20,000 miles. So I am rapidly catching it in. So there's a lot to unpack here. So we're going to go through the styling of both exteriors of the car, the interiors, how they feel to drive. I'm going to take them both out on the road, and then we might pit them against each other later on, just quietly. Obviously, legal speed limits, of course. Okay, so let's start off with the fronts. What are the obvious differences? So if you look on the £60,000 one, you've got a lovely black splitter now that's been added down the bottom. The original one kind of does have a bit of a splitter, but because it's the original paint colour, it kind of blends in almost too well and doesn't really show it off. I think the look of that new splitter is absolutely gorgeous. The front of the old car looks okay. I know a lot of people with the old frog-eyed look, and it is a bit bubbly, and I think they've helped themselves now by going with the really thin headlights, which gives it a nice and aggressive look at the front, which is great. At the front, you've still got the Tesla badge, whereas at the back, which we'll explore in a minute, then the new one has actually been written out as Tesla. They spell it out. Otherwise, at the front, the only noticeable difference, obviously you've got the car hooks, which have remained the same, but on the new one, you can see there are no sensors. So there are no ugly little circles, because obviously it has Tesla vision, whereas the old one, of course, still has the sensors. So that means the kit's going to operate completely differently inside. Okay, we find ourselves at the rear of the car. So let's have a quick look. Well, I think the new one looks so much squarer. I think those rear lights, look at the rear lights, they're gorgeous. This cutout section really elevates the light. It really brings it to life in there. It really kind of it draws your eyes to it almost. The old lights, there's nothing wrong with them at all. They work great and they look good. But that, yeah, look at that. With the cutout section, it just makes it look more aggressive. I think it really goes with the square angles. Of course, as I said, so you've got the Tesla badge versus Tesla being spelled out, which works quite well. And you can see how companies are going, and you can see which companies copy other cars. Because nowadays, it's so funny, you see a lot of new other brands spelling their names out all of a sudden, instead of having the old badge. So they tend to copy a lot of things that Tesla do because they are the groundbreakers, even though obviously Elon is easy to hate on and gets a lot of rubbish. So on the back, without getting too political, so the badge as well looks great, especially considering the old dual motor, the way of telling it was a performance is with the underlined, which is nothing wrong with that. But yeah, I think the badge, everyone prefers the badge. And then finally the rear splitter, sorry, rear diffuser. Come to the bottom on the old car. There's not a lot going on. It is a bit curvy. It just finishes. There is a little bit of a lip here, but it won't be having any active kind of any aero assistance. Whereas on the new car, there is actually the rear diffuser. And if I go underneath enough, you can see the kind of, not Venturi tunnels or anything like that, but it does help the airflow come behind. And I think it looks nice and aggressive with the cutout bits inside. I think it's a great job what they've done on the rear. I think the new car, the old car wasn't bad, and the more I look at it, I do like it. It's a little bit curvy for some people, but I think the new car really sits well. It looks gorgeous, and I've actually had quite a few compliments on it, whereas everyone thinks that Teslas are just kind of a bit bulbous and a bit circular. So I really, really like the back end of it. Now then, we find ourselves at the side profile. Not too much to chat about here. There's really not a lot of difference. But I think even if it's only millimeters, you can definitely see, I think, with the new £60,000 car, that it's sitting lower. The nose is slightly lower, which must help with the drag, with the coefficient. And I'm sure the arches there are sitting slightly lower on the wheels on the newer car. Otherwise, you can see the angles, you can see the lines, very little difference. Look at the line down the bottom of the doors, there's absolutely no difference. The indicator lights where the cameras are, absolutely no difference. It sits very, very similar. Even the rear windows open to the same amount when they're down. But yeah, not a lot, but you can definitely see a little difference there when the cars are sat next to each other. Look at that. Yeah, it sits a lot lower, which is going to really help with the drag. And then down the side profiles, looking good with the more aggressive stance, whereas the old, a little bit more curvy. It's still a good looking car, but yeah, that's where they've gone. They've gone for a little bit more angle. Okay, and while we're here as well, let's have a look at these wheels. So for this model, these are the new 20-inch Uber turbines, which were a good upgrade from the previous 20-inch performance wheels, they called them. No removable plates, it's just solid. You can't take any aero caps off, and of course with the calipers there. Very similar setup. So with the new ones, obviously these are the new warped wheels. They look really good, I think. The old ones look good on the road. But these ones with the aero caps off, you can see there's a couple of little scuffs here. The aero caps were in these. They've been removed and they look fantastic. I think they look really good, especially when they're shined up, especially for Tesla having the reputation of just being a kind of like A to B microwave kind of car, whereas the styling now, look at that, look bloody gorgeous. So the cars have magically appeared back next to each other again. Okay, I'm still here for a second. I've just thought, let's do this test. Oh, you need to hear this test. Let's see if we can hear a difference. So the door quality. It's a bit rattly. That noise versus on the £60,000 car. Yeah, not a lot of difference. Definitely a bit more solid. Yeah, that's definitely more solid. It might seem crazy to people, but the sound of a good closing door, solid. Yeah, definitely a little bit more rattly. Right, let's get in the old one and go for a drive. Okay, we're off out on a drive in the older car. So we're going to talk about suspension, the sound inside the cabin, acceleration and brakes. So while we're talking about acceleration, let's have a go. So that's down. Yeah, it still accelerates pretty good, but that's not as quick as the newer version. And hopefully we'll be able to put that into the test later on when we go for a little blast. Okay, so acceleration, look, I mean, it still wants to go. It still accelerates very, very quickly. It still nips past stuff very extreme, and there's not a lot off the traffic lights that are going to beat it. But yeah, there's a difference there. The battery is currently sat on 76%, so there's no excuses from that point of view. State of charge, 76%. So it's going to be giving out full power. Okay, yeah, so still quick, but not as quick in my opinion. Right then, ride handling. So the suspension, people say it rides a lot firmer. The new car has adaptive suspension, so it definitely has a softer setting, which is brilliant just to use as day-to-day driving. I've put 20,000 miles on my car. Does it feel harder under the bum? Wait. So, does it? Yeah, it probably does a little bit. Those little bumps, of course people say, oh, Teslas ride hard, but of course that depends what car you've come from. If you've come from sports vehicles and coupes, then they're going to be low to the ground and you're going to feel the ground more. But if you've come from SUVs and big boats and all that kind of stuff, then it's going to feel like it ride like harder. I think this one, yeah, there's a subtle difference. There is definitely a subtle difference. I think though, the thing is you can't really blame the suspension. It could be more of a build quality thing because of the car being a bit older, and of course people moaning about the build quality back then. I'm pretty sure this one was built in America, whereas the newer one's coming from either China or Berlin, obviously, and if the Germans are building them, they're going to be done properly. But yeah, not bad. A negligible difference. I'd kind of almost, there is a difference, but it's not something to really lose your mind over. Brake test. Right, I found a perfect spot where I'm going to be doing, let's try 60. And there's a nice signpost, and then because we're in the UK, there's so many potholes we'll actually be able to judge how well the car is braking due to how many potholes we cover. So we'll go past these guys nice and careful, and then let's get up to 60 here quickly, and then we're going to brake at this lamppost there. Brake. Woo! Right, it even put the indicators on because it knew we were braking hard. Let's have a jump out. And let's have a count. So from the sign, we have 1 marked over there, 2 and 3. So we've stopped just past the 3rd pothole. Right, let's see how the other one does. Let's head back. We have hopped into the new car. Okay, so the interior, it does feel smarter. The steering wheel, obviously no stalks, which, God, after you go back into the old one and using stalks, I know it sounds all very modern, but wow, I actually prefer the buttons on the steering wheel and to go forward and back on the screen to swipe up and down rather than to use the stalk on the right hand side. Get into your own lane, thank you, Mr. Bike Up. Right, so yeah, the acceleration feels a lot more aggressive in here. See, the wood's missing, so it's the carbon. It's just the upgrades you'd expect. However, like you said, the price difference, it is £25,000 up to £60,000. Or now you can probably pick one of these up for about 50,000 a year old with 5 to 10,000 miles on the clock. Little interior light is all very cute, but I mean, it's not a deal breaker at all. Of course, it's the difference between £25,000 and £60,000, but any £60,000 car to any £25,000 car should hopefully feel worlds apart. And unfortunately for the old one in my head, yeah, I'm afraid it does. Just the build quality, all the squidgy materials around, the cabin sound. If I go quiet now, there's still a bit of road noise. It's not as prominent, nowhere near as prominent. This will be a bit quicker. I mean, it'll feel quicker. I don't know how much that'll translate on the road. But yeah, we'll see. So I've also been having to play around with the screen, and the processing power of this new one is so much smoother and faster. There's no little glitches like on the old one when you push some of the buttons. It might take a split second just to switch from left to right on the little sliders, whereas this one, it's instant. And of course, these new seats, the new performance seats, have ventilated as well as heated. So it's, right now, my bum is very cool and very happy. Okie dokie, we've all survived. So from our speed test, yeah, there's not a lot of difference. This one, it is quicker, the new one. You can feel the difference straight away. On the second pull, he went slightly ahead of me as well. It takes a second and then it starts reining them in. I think the massive difference would be from, obviously we cannot test it here because we're sticking to legal speed limits. If we were to go well above, if you're on a track, drag strip, every extra mile an hour faster you go, this one is going even quicker and accelerating faster, especially above 80 and 100. which of course you just don't need in the real world, but at those kind of speeds, then this one is going considerably faster. Right, we're on the way home and bump into another mate with a white Tesla. So we've got a little train of 3 white Teslas, obviously a Model Y in front. Very cute, they're all catching on, very good. Another thing with the new car, obviously using Tesla Vision, as I might have said earlier on, compared to actual parking sensors and things. So it was interesting to see the exact ranges giving in almost like inches on the old Tesla, which was quite useful. But then this kind of ghost images from above, come on then kids, let's get out of the way, was actually it's really helpful, especially with parking, that kind of like top-down view. Right, we're going back to our braking point in a second. So I've checked the footage, I hit it at 59, and then I was like just under, 3 potholes away. I definitely think that should catch on. It should be a way of measuring things in this country. Right, so yeah, Jesus Christ. I know I'm trying to be impartial as possible, but it feels more comfortable. I think with these bucket seats, they do drop down a lot more. So I feel lower to the road. I felt more upright in the other car as well. Whereas I feel a lot more lower to the road. I feel more planted on the road. And as we've seen from the acceleration stuff, yeah, it's a little bit quicker, negligible in real world speeds. The other one is still very, very fast. It is a little bit quicker. But you want that, I suppose. Right, let's get past this, get up to speed, hit the brake. There's 59. Whee, brake, and woohoo! So the hazards have come on as well. Let's get out and have a look where we are. So it's as unscientific as this is. There's the point, there's the first pothole, second pothole, and actually the third pothole is underneath. So this one, I'm sure if it was like Car Wow with their fancy gadgets, we're using potholes on this channel. Final test. I'm going to create something called scratch and squidge. So let's sit in. Right, driver's seat obviously in the new one. So nice and soft. Nice and soft. Door bins, soft. Look at that, not scratchy at all. Nice and soft. Steering wheel. Yeah, nice and solid. On the dash, very soft. Wow. Yeah, squidgy, good materials. Carbon fiber, nice. In the sensor, so Alcantara, lovely, good feel. In the side, yeah, it's not plastic, nice and squidgy. Armrest, nice and squidgy. And then on the other side, yeah, looks good, looks good. All the Alcantara door cards, it's nice quality materials. So the new seats, the new performance seats with the emblem, really nice, loads of bolstering, and like I said earlier, ventilated and heated. Okay, let's have a little go in the back. I'm 6'10", and this is set up for me. So there is no way in hell I'm going to be able to sit behind here. Yes, look, I think you need to be an amputee to try and get in here. However, we're in the back. So again, it's still squidgy. Yeah, it's still squidgy. It's not plastic, not plastic. The nice new screen in the back of the new Teslas, where you can control all sorts of things. You've got Netflix, YouTube, Twitch, and all the tutorials and bits and bobs, loads of arcade games. And I know if you use this in the back, it only actually uses the speakers in the back if you're controlling it through here. So that's quite handy for the kids, very good. All still soft, squidgy headline. Obviously there's a huge panoramic glass window, which is really nice. And all of these with the touch sensitive lights, little hooks, all very good. It's all really, well, it's actually really soft, really nice. And in the center, you can pull it down, nice armrest with a couple of cup holders here, all very good. Right then, let's jump into the old one and see how it compares. So into the older model, and we're in. So shut the door up, let's have a go. Squidgy, feels a little bit firmer. Nice Alcantara section here, And on the other side, obviously, is a little less than on the new one. They're a little bit thicker going through, but they did redesign almost the whole thing. So on the dash, this material, I say material, I have no idea what it actually is. It's almost squidgy, but it's almost scratchy. Like, I don't want to scratch it because of it might end up staying. Then this is actually definitely plastic. Then the wood section is weird. It looks wood, but it feels plasticky again. I do like that is gone and it's changed to the carbon fibre version for the new one. That is a great touch. Steering wheel, so a lot more basic because obviously you've got the 2 stalks on either side, going back to a really old-fashioned way of indicating and driving. I can't believe how used to the new way I am now. Actually, going back to these feels actually quite old-fashioned, which is strange. Then on the steering wheel, very limited, just as 2 little balls which you can click in different directions and control everything. In the centre, so you'll see here the angle of their screen is actually different, and you can actually swivel it. They've installed a swivel screen, which actually is very useful. I don't really need it in there. It's almost like fixing a problem for myself that doesn't really exist, but it does bring it a little bit inch closer, so you can actually have your arm resting on the armrest, and you can actually then touch the screen nicely, whereas in the new one it's set further back because it's square, and it's actually a little bit harder to touch stuff when you're moving potentially. Bit of Alcantara down here, then yeah, plastic covers, obviously that's gone for the more black fake carbon look, and the center armrest is obviously nice leather, but I'm feeling its age now a little bit. And then the main difference with these seats, now there's nothing wrong with the seats, but I think that you can see why they've brought in the real nice performance ones. They needed more bolstering. If you're blasting around like that, it feels quite loose. If you're blasting around, you need a bit of grip to really grab you and hug you into the seats. But yeah, not bad at all. Right, into the back. Into the back. A very similar amount of space. Dare I say there's almost an inch more in here. I mean, I'd still never get in, legs out the door. But yeah, in the back, squidgy, nice. The seats, yeah, that's actually a lot more plush from the back. I think the seats on the new one have a lot more support behind than this is plasticky, and a nice little door card, not door card, little storage area, which actually you don't have in the new one. Of course, no screen in the centre, so the kids are going to be pestering you. Just 2 USB-Cs with vents. Armrest in the middle. Oi, a smaller one. A couple of little cup holders. It's a bit annoying when they put them like that though, because if you want to rest your arm on, you're straight on top of the plastic, which is no good. Anyway, roof, similar design. The light is missing from here, but it's in the centre. It's a little click switch now rather than touch sensitive. A couple of extra chargers up here actually, which is good. They don't exist in the new one. And then exactly the same coat hangers on the side. Exactly the same material here. And a lovely long panoramic roof. Happy days. Okay, we're back where we began. Something really interesting. The cars have done the same. The older one has just done a tiny extra trip of about another 5 miles or so. However, the cars have done the same today and they both started on 80%. The newer one is now sat on 67% left with just shy of 200 miles. So let's jump into the old one, considering they both started on the same. The old one has got a slightly larger battery, actually, a 78 kilowatt hour battery. And the old one here is actually only have 139 miles left at 51%. It's probably done about 5% of the trip that it's just done extra between filming. So 5% probably equates to about 15 miles. So maybe on about 150. So it's actually ended up about 50 miles, about 40 to 45 miles short of what the new one is sat on after doing virtually the same identical day. Okie dokie, we are back where we began. Right, so we've been out and driven them, we've looked all around them, had a good look inside them. So would you go for the much cheaper option, the older version? Yes, the newer version has won in all tests. However, £60,000, £25,000. You still get a year's warranty because it was bought through the Tesla Infantry, And of course you get enhanced autopilot because it's bought through Tesla Infantry. The new one has a 60,000 miles and 4-year warranty as standard. So £60,000, £25,000 is a big difference. We've been out, we tested the acceleration. Yes, the newer one is more brutal. It is quicker. At the lower speeds, there's really not a lot between it. It is those tenths of a second that you see on the specs. However, obviously we haven't tested it today because we're keeping everything legal, but the new one above 80 or 90 really pulls hard on track days, drag strips, all the way through to 130, 140. Whereas not just the old one, but almost all older EVs, once they get north of 80, 90, they really struggle. Suspension, so yes, it is softer, it is more comfortable. However, the old one, it's not a hard ride, it's fine. You do feel the bumps more, you definitely do, but it depends what car you've come from previously. If you come from coupes or sports cars, that does not ride hard. Whereas if you come from boats and SUVs and all those kind of things, then yes, it will be a little bit harder riding. So acceleration, the suspension, so the brakes. Using the official UK method of how many potholes do they go by, the newer one won. Just as unscientific a fair test it was, it did stop a little bit sooner. I think it's a perfectly fair test. So yeah, suspension, brakes, acceleration, and then finally inside the cabin, which is a noticeable difference. I think it's more just the build quality of the older ones, which everyone knows. They have improved dramatically. Inside there with the double glazing all round, whereas on the old one it's just in the front windows, there is a noticeable difference, but it's also probably how the car is put together, and it feels so much more solid, which means there's less rattles, less bits and bobs making noise, and it feels really comfortable and quiet. So which one would you go for? You've got £25,000 and it doesn't quite work like it, or you've got with £35,000 in the pocket, or you've got £60,000 for effectively one of the ultimate cars on the road at the moment. Especially for that value, you start looking into the competitors, even the BMW i4, like the M, the version to compete with this thing, and you're looking at 80, 85 new. Most of the other Germans are up towards £100,000 for anything that gets anywhere near this. Right, have fun guys, we'll see you at the next one. Peace.